Shin Godzilla turns 10 years old, so happy birthday, Shin, and what better way to celebrate with a review of the S.H.MonsterArts Shin Godzilla movie graphic plus version. Woo! That's right, Tamashii Nations has released yet another Shin Godzilla figure onto the market, and you're going to have a chance to pick this bad boy up at BigBadToyStore, who did happen to send this out for a review. They did happen to get some more stock available, and it is going to be available at the time of publication, so if you did happen to miss this one and you want to pick it up, do not delay and get your order in. If you do happen to miss out, check out the waitlist feature because you don't want to be caught missing a soft reissue, I'll touch on that in a minute, for your chance to get what might be a really cool figure. I don't know. Let's take a look to see whether or not he's going to be worth adding into your collection. And I gotta say, Purple Drank Shin is by far an awesome looking Godzilla. I don't care what anyone has to say, I like this look of Godzilla. Now, when it comes to the actual action figure, that's going to be a whole point of a different discussion where I'm going to be honest, where we're going to start going a bit downhill. I want to talk about all the good stuff because I think that Shin Godzilla is not only a really cool and interesting design, I think that the awakening form, which that is what this encapsulates here, is really, really freaking cool. So when we take a look at Shin Godzilla, I've said this most particularly in the G-Store, the maquette version, where he's all like brown and stuff, skeletal-like. The sculpt for this figure is amazing. It is fantastic, and I've said that for a lot of the S.H.MonsterArts figures. The sculpt is amazing, but unfortunately the paint application does not necessarily do the figures justice. And here, there are a couple of little oddballs here and there, like it looks like he's kind of wearing a bit of a vest if you look at it the wrong way. And there are a couple of things here and there that, well, if you get the light to strike in the right way or the wrong way, it's going to make you scratch your head a little bit. Like sometimes it looks like the plastic is maybe a bit too clear in some areas, and it looks like stuff's bleeding through a bit. But I would have to say that I think for a bit of a toned down Awakening version, I think that the original release so many years ago does capture the idea of Awakening Shin better. I think that what they were able to do here looks really rock solid. In some areas, he almost edges onto the end of pink for the purple coloration, and others he's sort of on that more magenta color. I think that the silver accents that are used at like the base of the dorsal plates look really fantastic, and generally speaking, if you like purple Shin Godzilla, then this is gonna be a great looking figure for you. I do think, however, a lack of finer paint detailing, like a specific kind of wash to help bring out those nice intricate sculpted details by Tanaka and some of the other people who helped work on this and supervise it, that doesn't do the figure justice, especially when we're talking about how intricately well designed the figure actually is. And that's a bit of a shame. Also, as a quick aside, the dorsal plates on Shin, they're actually a little softer than usual and what I'm used to. So it is nice to see that if you should drop him, or maybe you accidentally stab yourself with him like I have in the past, you may not take total critical damage, and maybe he won't break. That's nice to know. Now, before we get on to articulation, we got to talk about the best feature of Shin Godzilla here, and that's going to be the head. Haha, that is called sarcasm, kids. Now, taking a look at the head, I mean, it is not good. It wasn't good at the original release. It's not good now, a decade later. And it's very clear that some of the details have smoothed out mold degradation over time just from use and reuse. It very much so looks like the paint application has gone not good over time. It looks like he has crest purple strips now, compared to even the previous Awakening Shin Godzilla. The eyes, they're not the best. They kind of look a bit awkward, and one of the points back to that is Shin Godzilla does have a little bit of googly eyes, but the thing is that he doesn't have like a googly eye setting in the model that they made for him in the movie. There is chaos, yes, but it is designed chaos. I've very much so been an advocate for Tamashii Nations to go back and to make adjustments to their decade-plus old sculpts before they do reissues. And even if there's a licensing thing or they just need to make a quick buck, whatever the case may be, I don't see why old-time collectors, anyone would not want an updated Shin Godzilla in their collection, even if they have the original. Now, what I will say is that there are some who are antithetical in their arguments against renewals, updates, so forth, and they've gotten this figure, said, oh, this looks fine, this looks great, there's no problem. And then they got third-party head sculpts, replacement parts, like, let's say, from Kujira, and then they finally bent the knee, and they said it looks so great, and they conceded that I was right, and that Tamashii Nation should perhaps go back and fix some things. Now, for articulation. So, Shin Godzilla has a ball joint up here at the top, where this portion of the head moves, and then a jaw down here where that moves. This is very much so reminiscent of the original Awakening release, where we do have a split jaw accessory and then a top head part accessory where we do have a different eye piece. Basically, that's what that's for. It's not included here. Why? Don't know. We'll maybe talk about that in a second. Then we do have a neck piece. It looks like a turkey here. Can move around left, right, and then we do have a neck piece down here that is on a ball joint. So Shin Godzilla actually does have some nice articulation when it comes to just the head and the neck area. Like, that looks pretty rock solid. If you're not a fan of things lining up perfectly, this one is not going to be for you, but I do think it looks very reasonable. I think that's pretty natural and fluid. Now, keep this in mind, okay? Shin Godzilla, all of them from Tamashii Nations, the joint engineering, the articulation is the same. So if you happen to have another figure that has a ball joint in here that maybe got stuck, broken, shaved off, or whatever the case is, it's the same. So keep that in mind. Anyway, we have a ball joint here for the shoulder, a ball joint here for where the bicep plugs in. We do have ball joint functionality for the elbow, and then ball joint functionality for the wrist. So the arms are really nice for Shin. I don't really know how that could be improved or changed. It looks good. I think it functions well. We do have a ball joint system for effectively the ab crunch and the waist. I mean, you can spin it all the way around. I think they hide that aesthetic-wise here. They have some ridges, which I think it blends in nicely. Just keep in mind, you don't want to scrape or scratch anything. That's good. Again, ball joint here. Shin Godzilla can really bend over for effect parts that he doesn't have. Ball joints at the hips. Really loose on mine. Both of the hips are loose. So yeah, I don't know what's going on there. But when we move down to the knees, these are kind of stiff. They're not exactly tight like they're going to break, but they're kind of hard to move around. I don't know. So we do have a hinge in here, which allows both a ball joint connected up in the thigh and down here to move. So you can get that to move along with ball jointed ankles. Now, just so this way you can see, he can do the splits if you want your Godzilla to do the splits and ankle rockers, which is cool. Now, the tail was detached in the box, just FYI. Now, if you are really interested in making sure you get all of this correct, right? So remember, once again, all of the joints for all the Shin Godzillas are going to be the same. All of these are going to be ball joints all the way up to the tippity top here of the tail, which is easy to pop off once again, because there's been a lot of interchangeability over the years as to what is or is not going to be included. Okay, very nice, very cool. How far down does it go? Kind of like that. Right, there you go. Now, I do think that the articulation is pretty solid. I don't think that there's a lot that needs to be changed per se, except for, joint variants, which, okay, yeah, it can differ from person to person, but keep this in mind, you could have gotten this particular unit. And once again, I cannot stress this enough. If you happen to get another figure where, maybe the shoulder joint didn't treat you too nicely, it's the same for all Shin Godzillas. So you can pop them apart. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know I went through the articulation section real quick, but it's been 10 years of the S.H.MonsterArts Shin Godzilla. I think you know what you're getting yourself into. Accessories. So I'm basically going to defer to this section for any of the Movie Graphic Plus figures that we get. All the Cinemark Movie Club figures don't come, at least so far, with anything except for a little paper craft poster thing. That's it. You get a paper craft poster and a little display piece that you can put next to the toy. And yeah. So they have admittedly dropped the ball, mind you, on a couple of other things like the Goku eating set and the Naruto ramen set where, that was kind of papercraft. But Tamashii Nations definitely has put forth a lot of effort into some other releases. And there are other companies that have done things like full on acrylic sheets, and they've done some really cool stuff when it comes to display pieces. And I don't know, folks. I just think that this really isn't as cool as it could be. Now, if you take a look at the price that we're paying, I really think it's pretty reasonable that we could get something better than just, this, right? Like, I don't quite think it's exactly fair that we're going to be paying, north of $100 per every single release, and we're going to get something that, will basically just do this, right? I don't really think that that's too fair. I mean, if you are interested in anything like, a better poster representation of Shin Godzilla, then what you can do is you can definitely find some other papercraft options available, like maybe a better design of the poster that you like that's on the market for just a couple bucks. You can print your own if you would like. You can also find other companies that do acrylic posters of Shin Godzilla. And yes, it is still going if you are interested. Point being is that don't always believe in everything that you see. Sometimes there are performative acts that are done just so this way a point can be made. So anyway, the papercraft is pretty straightforward. Nothing overly complicated. You just gotta punch it out. I'm doing it on camera here again. They're all basically the same. Nothing too fancy. Which, I mean, there are some folks who, once again, will make the point, okay, maybe Toho requested this, maybe the licensor requested this. If that even is the case, if that does come down to the point of the licensor, then let's send that up the chain by default and say, hey, licensor, can we get something that's a little bit better than this? Because if we're going to go ahead and take a look, now this goes to Shin Godzilla specifically, this is going to be the first time that the North American audience, if we're going to talk about market specifications, this is going to be the first time that the North American audience is going to have access to, this is the first time the North American audience is going to have access to the Awakening version of the Shin Godzilla S.H.MonsterArts. And we're not going to have a beam. We're not going to have any of the beam. We're not going to have the split jaw. We're not going to have the tail. We're not going to have. And instead, we're going to have this paper craft mac and cheese poster. And that's all she wrote. There you go. I mean, honestly, for the price point, I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, it's okay. Like, the concept is not bad. I want to make that very clear. Like, having a display like this is pretty dang cool. I like this in theory. I don't like that this is like cardstock paper. Like, that's just kind of disappointing. Yeah. But it's time for a size comparison where you can see how big Shin Godzilla is. Again, I want to emphasize we're like 10 years into the S.H.MonsterArts Shin Godzilla, so this is going to be quick. And if you really want to get a good idea of what he looks like with some other Shin Godzilla figures, I've got them all up on my channel pretty much, I think. Yeah. Buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. What are we talking about with the Cinemark Movie Club Shin Godzilla here? Well, I got to be honest with you, folks. I don't think that this figure is bad per se. I think that the figure is rather nice. I think that the entirety of the line is just an opportunity for a miss. Now, one of the points that have been posted around is that the Movie Graphic Plus line is sort of meant to be a soft relaunch for some of the figures. But the counterpoint to that is going to be If we do have the Godzilla 1989 figure re-released, then we do have an opportunity to get new collectors in the line to get an effect part, like a beam. If we have Shin Godzilla here, the first time to launch it in the North American market, a soft reissue, if you will, we can get them to have a whole bunch of cool stuff like the tail beam and the split jaw and the nictitating membrane head. And then if we have Godzilla 2014, we can do the hands. And if we have Godzilla 1954, we can do maybe a building. But instead, we do get these little posters that are made out of cardboard. Yeah, so Shin Godzilla, I get it. A lot of folks like the Awakening version. They like having a purple Shin, and that's cool. Again, I think that the metallic translucent purple effects here are really nice. I just think that this is not exactly landed perfectly, and I say that out of love, not out of any sort of disdain. If you like it, go ahead, make the purchase. I love purple Shin. That's not the point. The point is, I wanted this, and I know that it could have been a whole lot better, and it just quite wasn't. If you are interested in some other third-party stuff, though, it's out there on the market.